One of the best books I've ever read, and I've recommended to so many people on communication so that you can be the most effective communicator possible in literally everything you do, personally and professionally, is called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. And in this video, I'm going to give you 3 of the most powerful takeaways that I've gained from reading the book, actually listening to it on audiobook many, many times, at least 4 or 5. To me, that's many. And I believe that these 3 things from the book will start you down a path of being a more effective and powerful communicator in everything that you do. And I still highly recommend you listen to the book because there are so many nuances and so many other great nuggets and ideas and strategies for being a more powerful and effective communicator that you will gain. But at the very least, I want to give you 3 of the most powerful ones that I share all the time and I think can start to help you immediately in any area of your life that you are working to be a better communicator. So the very first thing I learned from this book is about no-oriented questions. You see, especially in sales or persuasion, or if you're trying to persuade your child or talk with a spouse or you're with your team, whatever it is, so many people feel that we're supposed to get to yes. We're supposed to get someone to nod along with us and say, yes, I agree with that. Yes, I want to move forward. Yes, I'm good with that. But Chris Voss flips it on its head and says, you don't want yes, you want no, because you want people to feel safe in a conversation with you. And it's safe for us psychologically to say no. We feel like we're protecting ourselves if we can say no. So instead of asking something like, hey, are you good with this? Or would you like to move forward? Or would it be a good idea if we blah, 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 blah? Chris Voss in his book says, get the people to say no, but to say no in a way that actually agrees with taking a next step with you or to engage you in some kind of way. So basically it'd be like, would it be absolutely ridiculous for us to get together and talk about how we could partner together on this deal to make something big happen? So like, would it be absolutely ridiculous is one of the phrases that I heard him use. And the idea is, how many people are going to say, yes, that's absolutely ridiculous? Not many people are going to say yes to that. And if they do, obviously it's not the right fit anyways. But it's more likely for someone to say, no, that's not really ridiculous. And they're not technically saying yes, but they're making a micro move in the direction of agreeing with you so that you can collaborate and get together on the thing. So as an example, if you're talking to someone in a personal relationship, it could be a friend, family member, significant other, and you're like, would it be a terrible idea if we did this? As an example, like let's say you want to go out to this particular restaurant. Would it be a terrible idea if we went to this restaurant over the weekend? I mean, it wouldn't be a terrible idea. Great, now we're getting somewhere. Now, these are really simplistic examples, but the more you start to think about using no-oriented questions when you're actually starting intuitively to want to say, ask a yes-oriented question or get someone to say yes, it's going to change the way you interact with everyone. And it might feel a little manipulative, but the question you've got to ask yourself is, at the end of the day, are you trying to get someone to move forward with you who could be the right fit to create more value in the world or to create the outcome that you want and that is mutually beneficial for you, the other person, and other people who will be affected by the decision? So my point is, like, if you're like, oh, well, that sounds manipulative to try and get someone to say no, just because then they're kind of saying yes. Well, the idea is, do you truly believe in the thing you're asking someone to do, yes or no? And if you do, why wouldn't you do whatever it takes to get that person on your side or to at least come alongside you enough with a no-oriented question to take the next step with you? I think this is an undervalued strategy that more people need to at least consider. So the next time you're in a personal or professional scenario, you got to send an email or you're on a phone call or you're in the conversation with someone and you want to ask a question that's leading to yes. And you're like, I really want to get this person to say yes. I want to say, hey, are you good with this? Or should we move forward on this? Or start framing it as a no-oriented question and see what happens. Would it be ridiculous if we? Would it be a terrible idea if we? Do you think it's completely unreasonable? Would it be impossible to? Those are a few examples of how you can use and frame a no-oriented question. So the first lesson or idea is a no-oriented question. The second lesson from this amazing book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss is calibrated questions. Now, this is really important to understand. Because a calibrated question is all about taking the onus off of you as a communicator and putting it on someone else. And again, you might say, well, should I put that on someone else or should I own that? Well, at the end of the day, let's do a quick thought experiment. Are people more likely to take action on a decision they've made or an idea they've come up with or an idea you've come up with? Probably more likely one that they've come up with. And so the idea here is to act really confused or like you don't know the answer and you're genuinely curious about finding a solution. So you might say something like, if you're trying to collaborate with someone in a professional setting, let's say it's a client as an example. We could take this into other settings and examples and scenarios as well. But let's say a client wants a discount. Let's say the person's like, hey, I want a 20% discount. And you're like, well, the thing is the cost to do these things is this, and our time spent is this, and we've got to bring these people to the table, and it's going to take this and this and this. And then you ask the calibrated question, which is something like, how am I supposed to do that? It's some version of how am I supposed to do that? Or how could we do that? Or what would we have to do to make that happen? But the baseline one that I always hear Chris Voss share is, how am I supposed to do that? And you genuinely say it in a way where it's like, I don't know the answer. I don't know how we can make that happen. Can you help me come up with an answer? Because maybe in this example of someone asking for a discount, the person's like, well, we could actually remove this, 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 and this, and I'd be willing to then take that amount of value, but at the discounted price. I don't know if that's a thing you do or not. If you don't discount, then it's kind of out the door with them negotiating. But the point is, can you get someone to start to do the work? Because eventually, if you really don't offer discounts in this particular example, you're like, well, how am I supposed to do that? And the person's like, you know what? I have no idea how we're supposed to do it. Let's move forward. I'll do the thing. I'll pay the full price. Great. Or if someone's like, hey, I really need you to be here on this day to do this thing. You're like, well, I've got this, 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 and this, and I've got that. And I've got to be over there at this time. How am I supposed to do that? You could come up with literally any scenario, and a calibrated question is about asking the person, how am I supposed to do that? Because it calibrates, it gets them to come to the table with some answers and solutions. So I'm a big fan of calibrated questions. They are powerful. And if you follow Chris Voss on social media, you'll hear or see him talk about this in his Instagram Reels, which all of them are amazing, always great nuggets. Highly recommend following him on Instagram. So number 1, no-oriented questions. Number 2, calibrated questions. And number 3, labeling. So what's really interesting is if we can label ourselves or others, it sets a foundation. It sets a starting point. So for example, he gives in 2 scenarios. Like 1, if I'm going to do something, I've got to label myself and how I'm going to be perceived by you in the next moment when I say this thing. And then also it's about labeling another person to see if you're right or wrong. So I'll give you the first example where he's in an airport, and the airport attendant person that's taking his ticket or having the conversation or getting him on a different flight because one's canceled, whatever it is. He's given multiple scenarios that are similar to being in an airport situation. And he says, he'll walk up to the person, or it's a TSA person or someone he meets in the airport, and he comes across, and it seems like the person's like gruff and having a rough day, and he'll label it. And labeling just means him basically saying, seems like you're having a tough day, or tough day, or struggling right now. Something. Usually it's the tough day one that I've heard him say. But the idea is that you label how the person's feeling, and what he's found is people are usually like, oh, no, I'm just going through my day, but I'm actually having a good day. But it gives the person 2 choices. Number 1, they can agree with your label and be like, yeah, it is a tough day, man. All right. And now you can empathize, which is another powerful strategy. Talks about tactical empathy, which I'm not going to get into in this video specifically, but it's one you'll learn when you read or listen to the book, Never Split the Difference. But the point is, when you label it, someone either can, number 1, say, yeah, it is a tough day. Or they say, no, I'm not having a tough day. Actually, it's a great day, and blah, 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 blah. And you get more information. And what you know, or need to know if you don't, as a powerful communicator, is the more information you can gather from another human being that you're working to communicate effectively with, the better position you are in to actually communicate more effectively with that person. So if it's like the person doing customer service, and they sound like they're having a tough day, and you say, having a tough day? Or sounds like you're having a tough day. And like, no, I'm actually having a great day. And they like pick it up, they turn it around because they don't want to seem like they're having a tough day. Or they say, yeah, you know what it is. But if you empathize with that person, now they feel more connected with you because you're actually a human that recognizes that they're having a tough day. And it totally changes the dynamic of the conversation you have with that person. So the other thing the person can do is say, so they can agree with you, yes, I'm having a tough day. Or they can say, no, I'm not having a tough day. Everything's great. And they give you more information. But at the end of the day, if you label it for the other person, they have a chance to give you more information. Now, the other situation where you will powerfully use labeling in communicating with other people is if you label yourself. So if you're about to say something that's going to be painful for another person to receive, as an extreme example, like you're firing someone or you're breaking off a deal or breaking off a relationship or telling them the answer is no for something they requested from the team or but for the budget with the business or whatever. You got to deliver some type of bad news, if you will, on some end of the spectrum, like really terrible news or just not something someone didn't want to hear. You can label what you're about to seem like to the person, and it actually diffuses how they receive what you're about to say. Here's an example. If you're about to tell someone they're not going to be able to get as much in the budget as they wanted for the year for their department, I'm totally making this up. You say, hey, I'm going to sound like a real jerk right now. And the person's like bracing themselves, they're getting ready. And you're like, I can't give you 100% of what you asked for your budget, but I can give you 90%, or I can give you 80%. Whatever the answer is, the point is, and that might not be bad. Maybe the person's like, gosh, I was actually expecting to get 80%. So the fact that you're going to give me 82.5% of the budget I asked for is actually good news, because I always ask for 100% of what I would love to get, but I also put in a buffer. So if I'm getting 80%, I'm still good. But the point is, if you lead by labeling that it's going to seem like bad news, the person starts to psychologically and emotionally brace themselves. And then when you actually throw it out, it might not be as bad as it seemed. And they're actually like, oh, that's not that bad. I'm good with that. I can live with that. So if you can label yourself ahead of delivering quote unquote bad news, you put yourself in a position to let that bad news land a little bit softer with the person you're delivering to. So if you've enjoyed this message, you found value in it, please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel to keep coming back for more. And on a more regular basis, I'm publishing podcast episodes over on my podcast, wherever you listen, particularly probably Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's called the JJ PELLER Podcast, where I share ideas, insights, perspectives, strategies, lessons I've learned over the years and am still learning to tap into your greatest potential, be your very best, and thrive in every area of your life. Very uplifting, inspiring, and encouraging. That's the purpose of it. That's the purpose of these videos as well. So I'd love for you to come back and get more and subscribe for more, and also comment on this video if you've enjoyed it. Let me know. Hit the like button, whatever it is, to engage with me here. I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback, and I look forward to sharing even more ideas, strategies, and insights from books that I'm reading, including mine if you want to go get it, Attract Your Potential, and other things I'm listening to and learning. So the purpose here is I just love learning, and I love to be able to share the ideas, insights, perspectives, and stories that I'm learning from other really great people who are doing awesome things and whatever it is they do, to pass along to you in hopefully a condensed way that's also powerful and usable in your everyday life to tap into your greatest potential. And I have a core belief that you are made for more, that you're meant to do really amazing and special things in your life. And I simply want to be here right now to tell you, you can do it. Believe bigger, dream bigger, keep taking action, refuse to freaking settle for anything less than your greatest potential. And if you just keep going, I believe great things can happen for you, friend. You can break through, you can go to your next level, you can experience more of the fullness of your greatest potential and the richness of what this life has to offer. So whatever you're going through, just keep going. Great things are happening. Believe that. Till next time.